to a show. Are you ready to get started today? All right, here you go. Enjoy, buddy. Here you go. We'll give you some water. We'll give you some mine too, so you have a full cup. Okay, you ready? Here you go, buddy. Enjoy. Enjoy, mama. Yeah, that's for you. You can drink. Is that good? Did you say a bracha? That's a good girl. You ready for a good show? All right, good morning. I am
Good
so
morning.
excited to be here with my buddy Sophie and some other friends who we have behind the scene. So thanks for the invite, guys.
Well, thank you for coming and coming all the way from the five
course,
towns
of
just
course,
to be
of
with
course.
us.
Of course, my pleasure. It was a beautiful drive.
Yeah.
Beautiful area. All right.
Yeah. So today we have Avi Benmordechai, who is an LCSW, who does animal-based therapy, but also works with anxiety, depression, trauma, and a variety of different modalities. And so we are so excited for you to speak with us about that, but also at the same time to involve the animals and to show, not just talk about animal therapy, but to actually show it firsthand.
100%. I am so excited to be here. And we have a lot of different type of animals. And when I talk with people and they say, yo, what do you do? You know, I see you work with all the animals. I tell them, yes, I do work with animals, but animals are just one of the tools that I use. So think of it in like a toolbox, right? As a therapist, we always want to try to find a way to connect with with our clients. So having animals, happens to be, it's one of the most popular and one of the most amazing tools that we can use in session. And also the types of animals that I have are, every single type of animal connects with people a different way. So somebody would love a dog and you'll be surprised, but sometimes even when working with a teenager and they may love having a tarantula in their hand while we're having that, full 45-minute session. It's not a typical way of therapy, and that's why it works so well, especially for people who are hesitant to come to therapy in the beginning.
Yeah, I know, before the session started, I was a bit nervous, which animals, but then once Sophie came in, I was at ease. And so I could just imagine a client who's coming in for therapy and is feeling extremely anxious, just having the dog there, just petting her even just being there, there's something about having her there that's regulatory.
Yeah, the presence in the room. And that's a lot of the times when the clients are hesitant to come into therapy or feel like this is kind of awkward. I don't know you. You're a stranger. What are we going to talk about? What's the commonality that we have between one another? And when we talk about the animals, and it's like, oh, do you have any pets? Oh, what kind of pet do you have? When this morning, when I saw you this morning, I said, do you have any pets? And you said, yeah, I have fish. That was an amazing way to get, to break that ice and to get the conversation started. And that's the most important thing. If you think about therapy, it's building trust between the therapist and the client. And from there, that's when the real work gets started. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
All right.
Yeah, and it was like a lived experience as well.
Yeah, so my anxiety is high right now. And I'm not even scared of animals.
This is I don't know if you saw that, but you winked. That's excellent that you're talking about this, and we'll actually use that in session. We're talking about anxiety, right? So happens to be a lot of the clients that I work with are afraid of certain type of animals. So I'll do exposure therapy. I also I'm a certified hypnotherapist, so I'll give them certain hypnotic suggestions, letting them know that as they're going to breathe, their anxiety is going to release. And also think about it. Think of your anxiety going up to a level 10, right? Once it goes up to a level 10, there's no way that it's going to go higher than that. Right. So you're going to stay there. Anxiety comes, but it also passes. So you'll go from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and so on and so forth. So it's going to eventually decrease the more you allow yourself to be uncomfortable. You're always safe. I always tell my clients, when you come into my office, you are always safe, but you need to allow yourself to be uncomfortable, because the only way the exposure works is if you're uncomfortable. Like sometimes when they work with Sophie and they're finally eventually graduated with her, because I have 3 different type of dogs. I have Sophie, Oliver, and Jack, and each one has a different temperament and level of excitement. So when they graduate with Sophie, I'm like, okay, let's move on to the next dog. They're like, no, but I'm doing therapy. I'm like, no. You graduated. This is already like you're enjoying yourself, right? And if you're not feeling uncomfortable, that means nothing is changing in your mind.
And this is, not just with animals. This is what people always about therapy. We have clients that come into the room and they're like, why do I feel so uncomfortable here?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to feel that way. And it's like, this is a part of the therapy process.
That is such a good point you're making, because people feel like if they're feeling uncomfortable, then it's not working, or they're not supposed to be there, or something is wrong with the therapist. No, therapy is can be a very uncomfortable feeling, especially in the beginning, and it takes time. So if you allow yourself to sit in that space of like, this is a little awkward, I feel uncomfortable, that's okay. Mm-hmm. And allow yourself to go with that flow, and eventually, hopefully, you'll feel much better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's almost like, in life, there's going to be so many uncomfortable things. And if you can be in the room and be comfortable with the discomfort, when life brings you more challenges that don't feel comfortable, you don't need to run away from it. You just sit through it and you can handle it. Right.
It's like when people would come in for the exposure therapy of, let's say, overcoming their fear of dogs, eventually they say, I always had a hard time driving on the highway, and now I was able to overcome that fear. Or I had a hard time asking my boss for a raise, and I just had this boost of self-confidence, and I went and asked for a raise. So I always tell them that, yes, we're going to be working on the fear of dogs, but you're going to actually start to see other areas of your life will start to improve. So it's not the exposure to the dogs, but sometimes when you limited yourself feeling like, I can't do it because I'm afraid, actually now you learn the skills and the tools to be able to push yourself further.
So much of therapy is working on a specific situation to then generalize it to other areas. And so on the one hand, we're working on, let's say, being uncomfortable with the dog in the room, but then you're transferring it to anxiety. And I think that's helpful. Even if not working with dogs in therapy, you might say, what's the point about talking about my day, about this one example? But in reality, that one example is going to give you skills and tools that you then can use and apply in other areas.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, for example, when people feel anxious about trying something new, right? And allowing them to know that this journey of anxiety is a part of life. We all have anxiety. But sometimes, so when do you know that you need some help? That's when it becomes out of balance. When you feel like it's debilitating, I can't get out of my house, my daily function is messed up because of what I'm experiencing. That's when okay, it's time to get some help. Let me just learn some skills, because even in the most difficult cases, you can manage it. There is a way to be able to learn how to deal with your anxiety and learn specific tools one step at a time. A lot of the times people feel like they want to give up because it's so overwhelming and it's so intense. One step at a time, baby steps, and eventually, we can get them to the place where they want to be.
Yeah, I think, why don't we give a general overview of what animal therapy is, what it looks like, just, for I think me and Esty, we have some familiarity with animal therapy, maybe not that much. So if you can just fill us in on what it is exactly, what it looks like, who it can help, and how it helps.
Of course. So we work I work with kids, teens, adults, seniors, and different capacities. So for example, with children, we just did an event with a bunch of kids in a school talking about emotional regulation and anxiety and boundaries and personal space, and also being able to have the motivation to keep going further whenever life gets really hard. And can I actually show you one of a really, really cool animal? So right over here, I have my buddy Charlotte, okay? And
I'm taking a few steps back.
And she is a tarantula. And now oftentimes when people feel when people hear that I have a tarantula, they're like, why the heck
do we have to touch
do
it?
you have? Well, I think, you know what? This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Is that your anxiety talking?
I think it's my panic talking.
So how do you feel about that? So
wait, it's not going to jump out of your hands or anything like that.
It might.
No. Do you do that with your clients? Do you say it might?
Well, you're not my client. Well, happens to be, and this is an interesting conversation, that how I pick my therapy animals. I don't just, select random animals. This specific breed is a red knee tarantula. It happens to be they're one of the most docile creatures, specifically from arachnoids. And also, they don't really run too much. They're very easy to handle. They don't bite. So that's why I use them. Every single one of my animals are handpicked, and a lot of research is done before we actually use them in therapy. Before I actually take an animal and bring them to the team, I will work with them. I will handle them. I will see if they're a good fit. Happens to be all my animals get along together. So when you come into the center, you'll see the horse and the cat and the parrots and the bunnies and everyone just kind of walking around together. Besides the reptiles. So this is what we're gonna do. You ready? How are you feeling right now?
Well, I think I'm avoiding my panic and anxiety. Okay. But, I really appreciate you saying that because, I think, when it comes to animal therapy, people think, oh, I'm just playing with animals. Yeah. Or, we're just bringing a dog in the room or we're just bringing a tarantula in the room. But, it's so important to know that this is, researched and studied 100%. And trained. These 100%. Are not just, taking any animals and, doing some work with them. This is really, it's really research-based.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And also, one of the biggest fears in the world is arachnophobia. And how I got into this, well, first of all, so many teens think it's super cool, and I agree. Besides that, I actually got a call from a client that said, my child has fear of spiders to the point where they can't even be in the room. I actually didn't even know as a therapist that this is such a serious matter that's out there. And I said, okay, well, I do exposure therapy. Have your child come in and I will work with her. So before the session, I had to go outside, and I don't know if you know, in 5 towns, they have these jumping spiders. So I go to the backyard. I'm like, okay, let me try. This is before I had a tarantula. I'm like, let me try to find a jumping spider for my client. And I found one, and I put it in a container. I couldn't allow the client to hold it because I didn't know if it was, if it was going to bite her or poisonous. So we put it in a container, but that was also part of the exposure, and it worked out so beautifully. Wow. But every session, I needed to find the spider. And at one point, I'm like, I can't go searching for spiders. I need to get my own. And I ended up researching and finding the perfect type of tarantula that I can use. And we use her. She's one of the most popular therapy pets that I have, and we call it a therapy pet because it really helps people heal, whether it's from arachnophobia or it's even just talking about their day. I remember having multiple clients the first session when they're so hesitant to come in and they hear I have a tarantula. This therapist who's supposed to be super professional has a tarantula. Okay, you're speaking my language. So right. And the whole 45 minutes, the person was sitting on the couch with a tarantula in their hand as we were talking about, what's going on in their life. So are you ready? How about we start this? Ready? What are you feeling in your body right now?
Extreme panic.
Okay, extreme panic. Yeah. That's perfect. And this is typical what I would do in a session. You feel extreme panic. The reason why you're feeling that now is because your brain is working properly, because your brain is built to protect you. And that's exactly what it's doing, because naturally, a tarantula is supposed to be something that's creepy and crawly and scary. However, you can kind of let the reins go and say, you know what, I'm in a safe space. Even though I'm uncomfortable, I'm safe. So
I'm personally feeling really comfortable right now because all the attention is on me. You're about to do that exercise, so I actually don't have any
Thank you, Esty.
Because I know that I am not going to be
switch it back to
her. I know I'm not sitting on this seat, so there's no panic.
So this is what we'll do.
Does it bite?
Does it bite? Very valid question. It does not bite.
Okay. So what's the worst it can do?
Just lay in your hand.
Okay.
That's it. Are you ready?
I'm trying to imagine it because when everybody does pranks on you and they put a spider and it's really a plastic one. So I'm trying to imagine it to be a plastic one and not really think that it's real.
No, how about you switch that up and say, you know what?
Denial.
I will think.
Denial, right?
I will know that this is real. I'm uncomfortable. But I'm safe. I know you're shaking. I know you're freaking out.
I'm sweating. Real panic attack.
This is what I would see in a normal therapy session where people would start sweating, and I actually tell them that you might feel your heart beating. You might feel sweaty. You might feel like you want to run away. You might feel like you're racing thoughts.
I'm like, why did we invite you to come here?
It's your idea.
So, are you ready? Take a deep breath. Okay, just relax your body.
Wait, in both my hands or one of my hands?
Two hands, just like this. Actually, you'll start to see once you put it in your hand, you're gonna be like, "Oh, this wasn't so bad." Right?
Don't drop it though. Okay.
Yeah, don't drop it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get up and move in case Shira drops it.
Breathe. You're safe. Breathe.
Where's its face?
Breathe
out. I haven't seen a breath.
Breathe in. That's it. And just notice it. What color do you see?
Black.
Black. What else? Orange. What else?
My heart is beating like
okay,
crazy.
and just sit with that. There you go.
Okay.
You're a pro. You did it. That's it. You're holding a real live tarantula. And what we actually just did, we did some mindfulness, right? Like where you're actually paying attention to the colors, and people don't even notice how beautiful the creature is. Here, show
It's true.
us.
Yeah, no,
I'm not
me.
moving my hands from the direction.
I'll come and look a little closer. Don't move your hands. I will come and look.
It kind of feels like pom-poms. Like, Esty, you
Yeah,
want to try
yeah.
it?
No.
Oh, it does. It feels like a little bit of pom-poms.
Right, I see that. You see, it's like that furry.
Yeah,
little
furry.
situation.
And then we talk about
Yeah.
what colors. And one lesson that we can learn from spiders is that they never give up. They build a web. They try so hard. Have you ever seen what a web
Shira put
looks
it back
like?
in the box. I
She's
can't
doing such a good job.
concentrate.
And
while
by the
she's
way,
I feel
holding
like the
it.
Statue of
the
Liberty.
reason why I'm talking and she's holding it at the
To
same time.
distract.
Exactly.
I
The
can't
more-
concentrate
It's
while
working.
she's
It's
holding
The
working,
it.
more
by
I'm
the way.
speaking, so your brain can do two things at one time. So if I'm speaking, and even for the millisecond she's listening to my voice, she forgot about the tarantula. So at that point, that's when we make that change where she's starting to slowly decrease that anxiety. Do you feel even an ounce less anxious?
We're best friends.
Do
Look
you wanna
at
take it
that. My
home?
job is done. Drop the mic. So
You know what happens to be? I am getting less anxious. Like as
Yeah.
you're speaking, I'm finding it more soothing.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point of it. So people, and now we're talking about animals, but people can apply the same exact thing in their daily life. People don't understand the power that they have to control their life. Of course, there are certain scenarios in our life that we can't control. For example, the weather or traffic, right? But something like going to ask your boss for a raise, even though you're super anxious, being able to get yourself out of that uncomfortable position, or trying out a new hobby which you always wanted to do, and you're going to do that, or driving on the highway. These are things that you have the power to do. So we're talking about, going back to the tarantula, is that they build this beautiful web, and the rain comes, the wind comes, and breaks it down. And the next day they get up and they do the same thing over and over again. And when working with kids, this is something that we talk about, is just never giving up, trying your best, even when you study for a test and you don't do as well as you thought you would. That's okay. As long as you tried, you put in an effort, then that's the most important thing. How do you feel?
Let me take a picture.
It's
Shira.
interesting because I'm actually getting more curious about it. Like
Okay.
after like my fear went away, now I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, how many legs are there?
Yeah.
And like, how come maybe it's getting more comfortable because it's lifting its legs
Yeah.
up, and before it was just like completely stagnant. Like now it's moving, and I'm like, where's its eyes?
Yeah.
Does it have a face? Like
For sure. And that's
it's like building a relationship with it, which sounds weird, but
Exactly.
that's what's happening.
not weird at all. This is, if you think about anxiety, it's the fear of unknown. It's
Yeah.
because you didn't know Charlotte, you were so you were freaking out. But now that you know her, she was in your hand, you're like, I want to get to know you a little bit better.
Right.
So she's a
Mhm.
female. The females live about 30 to 35 years. The males only live about 5 years.
Interesting.
How old
and
is she?
She is about 4 years old now.
Oh, so she's
Yeah,
got
she has
a long
life.
lifespan ahead of her.
Yeah, for sure.
Is she gonna get much bigger?
Nope, this is her size. Yeah, so they eat crickets, and she's super chill, very low maintenance. A great conversation starter when I work with with teens and kids, and even in schools. The kids love it when we put it on the teacher's head, and they're freaking out. It makes such a different light on therapy. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting how like with fear, like now I'm just like realizing this myself, right? And I guess I'm having like all these like insights because it's sort of like therapy for me. But when I'm past that fear, like with the fear, like at first I was like, I'm not even curious about this. Like put it away. Like there's like no relationship. There's no interest. It's like sort of like a distance. Once I'm past that fear, like it's almost like the barrier is broken, and now I'm willing to engage.
Wow.
And like I think like even like thinking about social anxiety of like when we're scared of something, we just put so much distance and so much like, I don't even want to know that, like take me away, don't send me to the party, like I don't want to
100%.
go out of my house. But then like once that fear is gone,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, what are they serving at the party, or who's going to be there, or let me get to know that person. It's almost like there's no like barrier anymore.
Yes, and when working with teens and kids and even adults, social anxiety is such a big part of so many people's lives, and because of that, they don't understand the limitation that it causes them. And if they wouldn't have that, their life can be so much more exciting to live.
Yeah, for sure.
So are we ready to put Charlotte away?
Now I'm kind of like attached to her. Like I don't want to put her back.
She could stay next to you.
How do I put her back in?
Yeah, okay, so we're
do
gonna
I drop her in? Or?
Yeah, we'll do it like this. Careful. That's it. And, we also want to make sure when working with the animals that the animals are safe too, that the kids are safe, that the animals are safe. So anytime I'll bring out an animal, I'll always tell the people that I'm working with, about the animal, the history of the animal and how safe they are. But also I make sure to monitor, especially when we just did an event with 600 children.
Wow.
And I had all my animals out. I had to make sure that all my animals are safe. And what's interesting is I'm able to look at my animals, and we have that eye contact built. Like, if my dogs need to go out, they will let me know. If my parrots are having too much stimulation, they're gonna let me know. Or even the horse. She is so smart. Animals are so smart, and they connect with people in such an extraordinary way, more than we can even imagine.
Yeah, and they're nonverbal, which is
And
fascinating, right?
yeah,
And
so
how much
you're able
connection there
to
is without
you're
talking.
able to connect with somebody with a creature that's nonverbal, which takes a certain amount of patience that you need to have, and trying to figure things out. And even in our own life, when there's certain scenarios where we can't hear the actual words, but we have to figure things out. For example, when working with people in the hospital or with kids who are nonverbal, try to see, like, okay, what can we do to make them feel more comfortable? If we're working with dementia patients or patients with Alzheimer's, doing the sensory stimulation. And this is how, for example, we'll work with the dogs, or somebody who's blind, being able to let them pet the dog, or even the bearded dragon. It's a different type of texture on the skin, and then having that conversation with them. And for somebody who's blind and doesn't see the world but can feel it, and then you talk about it, it's such an incredible way to connect.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is, I mean, this is really cool. Like, I feel like this is so experiential. Like, it's not just us talking about it. I'm like living it.
Okay, great. So you ready for the snake now?
I mean, I want to give Esty a chance.
I think I'm good.
Esty, let's do it. Let's put you in the hot seat.
With the snake?
Of
That's
course.
a little intense for me.
Okay, and therapy is intense.
To push you beyond your limits.
I love putting a therapist on the hot seat. This is amazing.
We're used to being the ones.
Exactly.
I mean, I just feel like even sitting right here is a lot for me.
Right, but you graduated this part already, so we're moving on to the next part.
Let's take it slow. Probably not, but let's see.
If
I'll
you
try
get
to
the
be
parakeet,
open.
then I get the snake, and I don't want the snake.
Oh, we're doing the parakeet? Oh, I thought we were doing the snake. Okay, I can do the parakeet.
Let's do the snake.
I don't think I can do it, but we can talk about it with it sitting here. I think
Okay,
will be
let's
a big
do
step.
that.
Let's
Wait.
try it.
I'm scared of it.
It's in its cage though. Don't take it out of the cage.
All right, cool. You got it. Okay, so what are you noticing right now?
So first of all, I never knew that I even had so much anxiety around animals.
Wow.
So that's cool. Like I go to the zoo and stuff. I don't think about it. I see dogs all the time, but I'm noticing that I'm very anxious.
Okay.
And then it like comes and goes. You know what I mean? Like it was high anxious when you came into the room, but then as we were talking, it went down. And then when you took out Charlotte, it went back up high and then went down again. So it's kind of now, it was at a 10 at the beginning and now it's like at a 6.
So if your anxiety can speak, what would it tell you right now about the snake?
It would say stay in the box.
Okay. Why? I like that you took a deep breath.
So I know rationally that there's something to be scared of. I don't know. I just don't want it.
Okay. And that's okay too. You could say no. So happens to be in session, I would never, a lot of the times when people come to work with a dog, I always tell them the goal for you is not to pet the dog. The goal for you is not to love the dog. The goal for you is to be able to be in a room or going into an elevator or crossing the street or not leaving your child in the middle of the road because you see a dog.
Right.
That's because we don't want it to affect your activities of daily living. I mean, we're in Muncie now, so I don't know. Are there snakes around ever? Rarely?
On hikes.
On hikes, yeah.
I guess I don't hike.
So,
I don't hike, so there's no snakes
so
in my house.
If it doesn't affect your activities
just
of daily living, you're fine.
Right. Yeah. But I did notice that when like Shira was holding Charlotte, like there was a part of me that was like, oh, I can see how that can be like really liberating just to hold something that I'm scared of, even though I don't have this phobia on a day-to-day basis and it's not impacting my life. I can see how it can be so liberating to get over just something, like just an obstacle. I can see that. I just don't know if I'm ready for it in this moment right now.
So are you willing to give it a try?
I don't know.
Okay, so that's okay. Perfect. If you don't know, then that tells me that there's some room to make that work. So for all of you guys, wherever we're looking at, This is for you guys. Are you ready? This is live on camera for the very. Have you ever held a snake before?
No, but I don't know if I want to hold the snake right now.
Okay, so we'll
And I'm
try.
thinking like, yeah, it's good I did the tarantula.
Yeah.
She's got the snake.
Okay, so I'll guide you step by step. If you have any questions, valid. Your brain is going on super high alert right now, which I'm.
Well, I'm actually not doing just because I don't really think I'm gonna hold the snake.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay.
So I'm kind of feeling safe.
I
I'm
just
just like, I don't think I'm gonna do it.
Okay, do you want to try?
I thought the eyes were on her.
Well, if she's saying no, I want to, respect that. But if you're willing to give it a shot and
I don't
push yourself further,
Well, what type of holding are we talking about?
even if you hold it for once, how about you touch it first?
Okay, fine.
Like pet it?
It doesn't bite, does it?
Did you hear what she said? She agreed to touch the snake.
I'm like,
Breakthrough. Okay, here we go. Yeah, one finger. And I love this, by the way. This is excellent. Because sometimes when I work with people and they say, I'm not even going to enter the room, right? So we say, how about we just wait outside for a minute until let's take one step closer. And then we actually get them into the couch and have a seat. How do you feel right now? And I'm constantly checking in. So, for example, with you, we were able to, you just dived in, you went right in, you held it, right? But for you, you're ready to say, you know what? I want to go a little bit slower, and that's okay. We try to customize it for every single person because sometimes certain people will go much faster and sometimes somebody wants to take a little bit slower, and that's fine, So here we go. So first, the fact that you said, you know what? It was on the chair. Let's put it on the table. One step closer. Then you said, you know what? I'm not going to hold it, but I don't mind touching it for 1 second. That's incredible. That's huge. From somebody who said no to now saying, I'm going to do it for 1 second. We're on the right track. So let me tell you
I guess I'm curious, why are snakes so scary?
Yeah, well, think about it this way. They're unpredictable.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'm saying,
As he's opening the
I'm
box.
like, what's so scary about the snake?
We're talking about, obviously, like I mentioned before,
snake.
not this specific snake. It happens to be, this is a ball python. This specific, and this is.
Wait, could it come out of the box by itself?
I'm gonna open it. I'm gonna hold it.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is what I'm gonna say. Relax the face, relax the jaw, take a deep breath, relax the chest.
I'm not gonna hold it.
Okay, you don't have to hold it.
I don't even know if I'm gonna touch it.
There you go. Oh, now you're taking a step back. Okay.
As you're opening the box, maybe I will touch it.
Okay, no problem.
I don't know.
I like that. Sounds good. Okay. So this is called.
It happens to be when I brought it in. So I thought that it was a huge paper towel, and the snake was just like a tiny piece. I'm like, just like it has a nice house in there. And then they're like,
that's funny.
No, the whole thing is
that's
a
funny.
snake.
You didn't realize?
No, I thought that was a paper towel, and then I thought just the green part is the snake.
So this is a ball python. And it happens to be this is one of the most friendliest snakes.
Okay, I don't know. Actually, maybe not.
And
maybe,
this is
okay. I don't know.
Okay, just breathe. I'm
not touching.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay.
So if you notice it, his name is Casper, and Casper's 10 years old, and we call this a puppy dog. That's it. There you go. You're breathing. Good job. And you're smiling, which is great.
Sure, take a breath.
Take a breath. Right. It's very important to breathe.
My purple yonder.
And then this is also when we talk about breathing and how breathing releases the anxiety. Whenever we're like super tense, and this is why I said, relax your jaw, relax your back, relax your shoulders. Just breathe and just get into your body. That's it. And notice the room, right? Look at the snake and just notice it. You don't have to touch it. You don't have to hold it. Just notice it, right? So right now, if you're noticing, he's opening up his body, and this is his way of letting us know that he's comfortable, he's safe, he doesn't feel threatened. If he would curl up into a ball, that's his way of letting us know he doesn't feel safe. So
does he bite?
He does not bite. No, he does not bite. We call this puppy dog temperament, and the reason for that is because they are very docile creatures, very friendly. He's 10 years old. He was always handled by kids. So you ready for one finger?
Me?
One finger, just like this. One finger, and tell me what that feels like.
Oh, it feels like a pocketbook actually.
Ready?
Like
guys, this is
snake
the moment
skin.
we've all been waiting for. You did it. How do you feel?
I don't know.
Okay, you ready? 3 seconds.
It's kind of cool, the skin, no?
Yeah.
Like it's like a.
Okay, go ahead.
Wait, I should do it again.
3 seconds.
I should hold it for 3 seconds.
No,
now?
you
Touch
can
it for 3
touch
seconds.
it for 3 seconds.
What was it? 3 seconds.
You can hold it, touch
Could
it.
its
Oh,
face,
no,
like,
I'm not gonna
not
hold it.
face
Okay,
me?
so touch it for 3 seconds.
Could its
Oh.
face not face
Yeah,
me?
yeah, for sure.
No, I don't know if I want to do it
Ready?
right now again.
Ready? Here we go.
Wait,
Just breathe. That's it.
face is just
That's it. There you go. What does that feel like?
material.
Yeah.
Right, it feels like like a crocodile bag.
Yeah. People would think like it's more slimy. It's really not.
Yeah.
But notice what you both said, you're like the face, the face, the face. This is also what when we talk about anxiety. A lot of times people will say when we'll do exposure therapy with the dog, they'll say, "Oh, but she's looking at me." I'm like, "Okay, and what? Are you afraid of the eyes?" No. So then what is it, right? So I always say like,
it's the bite. Well, first of all, her tongue keeps like coming out, and also it's the bite. Like
so,
it's the assumption it's gonna bite.
So
me.
that's the anxiety again, the fear of unknown. The reason why she's opening up her tongue, not because she's hungry, because she's also navigating her area. She wants to know, okay, this is a new place, maybe a new scent, right? Let me try to figure this out. That's it. But the anxiety kicks in and creates a story, a fake story, and says, it's going to eat you now, or it's going to bite you now because it's moving its tongue. Right. I like that you're taking a deep breath. How do you guys feel right now?
Good. I love that you're explaining it, because the more you talk, it makes me feel like you're an expert, so you're in control here, so I can relax a little bit, because like why she's doing everything, like why she's opening up, know why she's sticking out her tongue. Yeah. So you being educated sort of protects us. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the most important points in therapy. It's very important for a client to trust the person that they're working with. I very much believe in that, because when you're doing something like exposure, well, first of all, besides exposure therapy, when a client works with a therapist, they want to know that they're learning from somebody who can help them, right? And more specifically, when we're doing exposure therapy, that's the only time, because the client only has the therapist to lean on at that point. Whenever you're in a room with an animal that you're afraid of, for example, let's say a dog, it can be very scary. So when I let the client know, like, hey, do you trust me? I'm here. I'm going to help you. My goal is never to put more fear into you. My goal is to help you release the fear. So then at that point, and I tell them, I say, you're going to, in order for this to work, you're going to have to learn to surrender and just let go of the reins and allow yourself to go through this uncomfortable period. And together we will make it through. And even in that one session, within 45 minutes, I have clients leaving in tears, crying. Wow. Like,
I think that's why I'm like hesitant to take the snake, because I feel, because we're on camera and everything, and I could see it being like a really strong emotional release.
For sure.
Like I can see that.
A release, exactly. Yeah. They're like, I never in my life, let's say I'm working with a 40-year-old, and the person says, I never in my life thought I would overcome this fear. And all the times I went to vacation, all the times I went to my friend's house, I was like this idiot. I felt like I felt so stupid and they talk so negatively about themselves, how they're so embarrassed in front of their friends and their family members to, put their animal away in the room. And then they have to come in and everyone is looking at them and there's a whole commotion. And then like, I finally have my life back where I'm able to go on vacation. And I don't care who's on what animal is on the beach. I had a person who was afraid of birds and couldn't go on the beach, or anytime would be outside. And, in New York, there's so many pigeons are flying around. And of course, where does this come from? A lot of the times there's something, there's a fear and a phobia. A fear is a known origin. When it happened. You can say like, oh, when I was 5 years old, a neighbor's dog chased me, and the exact story. I love how I'm talking and I have the snake around my hand. And then a phobia is something.
It's nice watching how comfortable you are with it, because if you're comfortable, then it makes me comfortable.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So a phobia is something that's acquired from a family member, a friend, a neighbor, a loved one, right? So for example, if a mother is afraid of a dog and she's crossing the street and she sees a dog, so she'll pull away her child and say, oh, come over here, don't go next to the dog. At that moment, the child feels like, oh, I should not touch dogs, because dogs equal danger, or animals equals danger. And eventually that child still stays stuck in that person, even if the person is 30 and 40 and 50 years old. If that was never processed properly, that adult will still have that inner child trapped inside. And that's who I'm working with. And a lot of the times in session, I'll tell the client, I say, hey, you and me are going to help that little girl, or you and me are going to help that little boy who was 9 years old and, something happens to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So are you ready? All right. So this is what it's like, and also when we work with horses, I do equine therapy also. And we have this beautiful miniature horse. Her name is Joy, because, she brings joy to the world. But we wanted to be able to figure out a way to help people with confidence, and also people who are going through PTSD. And with horses, they mirror a person's emotions. So a lot of the times when a client will come into the room and I'll ask them, hey, how do you think Joy's feeling today? I'll say, well, I think Joy's feeling nervous. That tells me that they're projecting. Possibly they're feeling nervous and they're putting it onto the horse. And, and they say, why do you think Joy feels nervous? And then they'll start, to say different things. And I'll say, well, what do you do when you feel nervous? And then from there, that's where we'll get the conversation started of how to deal, whether it's social anxiety, test anxiety, just fear in general, or being put in front of a classroom and having to talk in front of students, and what they can do, what coping skills they have, what strategies they can apply. And animals have this incredible way of being able to bond and connect with humans, especially the more time you spend with them. Like, for example, when I work with parrots, parrots are very territorial. Parrots are not domesticated animals. Happens to be the parrots that I work with, we got them as babies, so I actually syringe fed them. So they're definitely very social and very, very friendly animals, but it's about building that bond. You cannot stick your hand in a parrot cage and just, take out the parrot. You have to open it up, allow them to come to us, and then you give your hand and allow them to step up. And this is also how we talk about respecting personal space, respecting boundaries. Who do we allow in our inner circle? Or, for example, a turtle, right? We have a tortoise at home, and then that's an excellent conversation about safety. I asked them, what's the biggest part of this turtle's body? They say, oh, the shell. So I said, why does a turtle have a shell? Well, it needs to protect itself. Well, what do you do in your life to make you feel safe and to protect yourself? So every single animal brings on a different conversation on mental health. Breathe. Make sure you're breathing. Make sure your face is relaxed.
But you said not to hold the face. What if the face
Yeah, that's okay. You're going to hold the body. This is the main area of where you're holding. Ready? Set. Go. Go ahead. We're going to do it together. The longer you wait, the harder it is. That's it. You're doing it by yourself. Breathe, breathe, breathe. You're safe. Breathe. What are you thinking right now?
I'm not thinking.
Okay, good. Just notice. What are you noticing? What are you noticing?
Am I breathing?
Yeah. And what color is the snake?
The snake is white.
Yeah.
It feels this weird movement as it's moving, like wearing like a slime, like weird.
Okay.
I don't like slime.
Yeah. It's not. It's if you feel it, it's actually, you'll notice it's not slimy.
Not like slime, but like how it's moving. Could you? What's happening now?
Yeah. That's a much better question. What's happening now, right? So the snake is slithering.
Shira is coming towards you.
Okay.
I'm just petting the dog under the table here.
You can do it.
I did it already.
Here you go.
I should do
Ready?
more.
Yeah, but this time breathe. Okay. Ready?
What am I supposed to do
Two
now?
hands.
But you're gonna make sure the face stays.
Yep. 2 hands. Ready? The longer you wait, the harder it is. That's it. Just hold on to it.
I like that.
Breathe.
The longer you wait, the harder it is.
Breathe. 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 Just notice
Sure,
you're holding.
something really personal.
You're holding a python that's 6 feet, and you're okay.
Sure. Okay. Can I give it back to you now?
Yeah. Okay. I think he really likes you. Okay, you look so comfortable. Have a good day. That's it. Did you think you would be able to hold a python? And actually what your body just did right now, you're like, oh, I'm okay. I'm fine.
Okay.
Look at that. That's incredible.
I can do that. Still don't want to hold it for
All
another
right.
hour.
Here you go. That's for you.
Oh, whoa.
Ready?
Well, let's get the face
Okay.
forward.
Okay.
Like Esty had like this distant thing going on. I can do the distant
Ready?
first.
Here we go.
Wait, the face
Okay.
forward.
What's so scary about the face, Shira?
Ready?
I think my
The
fear
longer
is
you
that
wait,
it's
the
gonna.
longer you wait, the harder it
I
is.
think
1,
the
2,
fear
3.
is that it's gonna
Ready?
bite
Here we go.
me.
But it
Okay.
can't bite.
Hold tight. Hold tight. Ready? 2 hands. 2 hands. 2 hands. That's it. You're
Oh,
safe.
no,
That's
wait.
it. You're
It's a
safe.
different position.
That's it. That's it. You got it. You got
Where's
it.
its head?
You got
It's in
it.
the hair.
That's
It's
it.
up over
Yeah.
there. It's tucked under.
That's
the
it.
Okay.
Pick it up. You can do it. That's it. Yeah. That's it. You're doing it. You're holding a python, a real live python. Just relax the face. There you go. A lot of the times when we're nervous, we kind of crunch up our face. We want to make sure we're super calm, and that's when the change happens. If we're crunched up, we're not allowing the pathways to create in our brain. So when you're calm and cool and collected, that's really when the change is happening in your mind.
I think like when I'm scared, I start to use like humor a lot, or I'm like thinking like, oh, look at its body like contorted like that. Like, wouldn't it be funny if we like could?
But look at that. You're noticing, talk about self-awareness. This is great.
It's like really trying to put its face in this direction.
Yeah, and that's it. We call this a hybrid because he has white and do you see that white skin? There you go. So when was the last time you guys had a python on your podcast?
Never.
That's it.
Okay, I think I'm done.
Okay. So relax the body, relax the hands. That's it. There
Wait,
you go.
it's gonna like take control
That's
here.
it. There you go. You see what you're doing with your hands, right? Just
Yeah,
relax the
I'm
hands.
like
Open up,
going back
open
into
up your
myself.
hands. That's it. Just relax. There you go. That's it. You know, the way our body posture has a very big part in how we feel. So a lot of the times, actually, when talking about anxiety and people who have social anxiety or generalized anxiety disorder, a lot of the times their posture is closed. So even how we sit, that plays a very big role.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think Casper wants some of your water.
Wait,
Can it drink
No,
water?
It does. They do drink
Yeah.
water. Yeah. But... All right.
It's so interesting because like touching this is fine. Just something about the face like is really scary for me.
Yeah.
Does it have teeth?
They do have teeth. Yeah. But also with them, they don't. He's not gonna bite a human. He's super. As you can see, he's super docile, very friendly. And also, when they do eat, they eat rats, and they have to be a certain body temperature and body heat. They're
very particular about their food.
Yeah, they're very. He actually hasn't eaten in about like 6 months, which is
what a diet.
No, but because they're very picky eaters, and the older they get, they don't really need to eat much. I mean, he's gonna eat soon.
How does he tell you that he's hungry?
Well, we just do it.
Okay.
You could see his body. I mean, usually if he's hungry, his body would get smaller and skinnier. But he's pretty nice and thick, so he's okay. Yeah,
gorgeous skin.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
Now that the snake has been on the table and you held it and you touched it, has your anxiety even an ounce dropped?
No, definitely. I don't want to like pick it up and hold it for like another hour.
That's fine.
Like I'm ready for it to go back in there, but yeah, my anxiety is definitely lower.
Yeah, perfect. And that's when we talk about anxiety, this is how it works. A lot of the times the first session, they say Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, we're not going to make a lot of times people ask, how long is therapy? How many sessions do I need to be here? Well, It really depends what you went through in life, So sometimes, within a couple of sessions, you'll be done. We're not talking about only exposure therapy, but just therapy in general. And sometimes it takes longer than that, depending on what you went through. So that's why it's really important to recognize not to rush the process too. Sometimes you get calls that people want a quick fix. Hey, I have my child is going through ABC, fix them. It's like, it doesn't work like that, And also, when parents complain about, their children displaying certain behaviors, a lot of the times you have to work with the parents too, because it's the parents who need to, change up some of their things, their parenting skills. And sometimes when they do send their kids to therapy and then you teach them everything that they need to know, and then the parents say like, I send my child to you to fix them, and now they're sending all these boundaries with me, and and it's like, yeah, that's what therapy is all about.
Did you always love working with animals? Like, when did you start?
Good question. I actually just posted something online about that. I was like maybe 3 years old. I posted a picture of me and one dog, and then now I have this whole menagerie of animals. I always actually wanted to be a vet. I didn't grow up with a TV at home, so I always loved animals. I wanted to be a vet. And then as I got older, I realized that, being a vet is a really not easy job, because you're constantly putting animals down, and you're spending time with animals, but a lot of times it's sick animals. So I just didn't have the heart for that. And I wanted to be able to connect with humans and also with animals. I was actually a teacher for a number of years, and I loved being able to work with people, but I felt like being a therapist, I have a much wider classroom, let's call it. I'm also able to work with all different types of age groups and, people from all different challenges in life, and being able to apply the animals. In all honesty, if I would think I would be doing what I'm doing today, my younger child self would be very, very proud. I never in my wildest dream thought I would be doing what I'm doing today. It's all kind of like, it just took its course. I got Sophie, and then I got a parrot, and I got a bunny, and then I needed a tarantula for someone, and then every animal that I got is like an incredible story. It's not just I went to the store and bought an animal. Every animal is they had one left and exactly the one that I needed. And the breeder thought that with Joy, my horse, the breeder said, sorry, we don't have any more horses. They're all taken. And when I went to go check it out, she's like, hey, it's a miracle. 3 days, 3 days ago, we just had a horse that was born. We didn't even know the mother was pregnant. Like, it was so much,
Wow.
so much incredible things that happened for me to be able to get the animals that I have. But this was such an incredible experience for me to come here today and be able to see, two people in action of being able to overcome their fear. I'm very lucky to be able to be a part of people's story.
Yeah, no, I feel really lucky that we got this experience.
Thank you so much.
Fascinating. I've never done anything like this. So thank you so much
for having us.
For coming and not just coming alone, bringing all of your guests with you. It was really an amazing experience. I think the interesting thing about the snake is that I kept thinking like, oh, he's going to trick me. It's like, when you go to the doctor and they're like, okay, I'm not going to give you the 100%. Shot. And then eventually before you know it, the shot is in you and then you're screaming.
100%. Right.
So I kind of felt like he's just going to put it on my arm or he's just going to stick it in my face. And I kept feeling like, do I trust you? Do I not trust you?
Yeah, this is a very important piece you're talking about, which is called flooding. And I tell my clients, I will never, ever flood you with so much stimulation to make you, because think about it this way, flooding can work, but it can also cause a person to faint. And I definitely don't want that in my room. Mm-hmm. So, and I want to let the person know, if I told you that trust is the most important thing for me and we're working with something so sensitive, so delicate, I would never want to hurt you in the middle of a session where you feel like you're trusting me and then I'm going to come and put that in your face and hurt you. So even if I come with a dog or the snake or whatever it is and the person says, wait, I'm not ready. It's okay. I'm here. You let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Whenever you're ready, I will approach.
Take their cue.
And actually, I find that to be so much more powerful because what that does is it's coming from themselves. When the change happens from yourself, that's extremely powerful.
Right.
I was working with somebody for a nice amount of time to overcome their fear of dogs. And I was doing everything right. And I never had a situation like this because usually it works almost immediately. And I was meeting this person over 1 session, 2 sessions, 3 sessions, 4, and I'm like, something that just doesn't make sense here. And after a couple of sessions, the person just breaks down and says, I don't even know why I'm doing this. And I said, well, why are you doing this? And he said, well, my spouse wants me to, overcome my fear of dogs. And I said, oh, okay, now I get it. I'm so sorry, but unfortunately, it's not going to work. And he said, what are you talking about? Well, let's finish. I said, the only way these sessions are going to work is if you want to make the change for you. If you're doing this because your spouse wants you to be comfortable with this, absolutely not. It's not going to work. So I said, either you can leave now and never touch this again, or you can change the perspective and say, look, I've invested so much. Let me just challenge myself. Let me see how strong I can push myself, how much pressure I can push and see how far I can go. Within that one session, we accomplished what we couldn't accomplish in the past 5 sessions.
Right.
Wow.
So this is how important it is to recognize that when we want to change, it's the most powerful. Like a lot of the times when I work with parents with teens and they say, they're struggling with this and this and this and this, and I'm going to force them to come to that. I'm like, well, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. Therapy is supposed to be something where they come in, are able to take a deep breath and feel safe and feel comfortable and not threatened. And if they're being forced to come in and it's a battle every single day, they may not be ready for it. When we talk about people who are dealing with depression, and that's a big topic of conversation to have, especially people who are in hospitals and nursing homes where they feel like they're not next to their loved ones, feeling like they have no motivation for life because of what happened to them, or people who went through trauma and are not able to live the life that they used to before because of what they're experiencing. This is where the dogs come in. And oftentimes I find when people who are depressed and come into the session and have the dog next to them, it allows them to feel like there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's hope there. And even the sensory stimulation, the touching. And what's interesting is I notice when people start to talk about things that are more sensitive and maybe get emotional or start to cry, she has an immediate reaction. She'll turn to them. She'll put their paw on them. It's almost like a, hey, buddy, like, don't worry. You're okay. I'm your friend. I'm here.
Wow.
Oh, look at that. Did you just see what happened?
She just turned
She's like, when you said, I'm your friend, I'm here. did you feel, just curious, did you feel something in your body?
Of course.
Like,
It's almost like she noticed me.
yeah,
Like I
that's it.
exist for her.
Exactly. And and as humans, we want to feel noticed. We want to be seen. And a lot of the times there's certain people who feel like they fall through the cracks, like they're not being noticed. And that could be so hurtful. And having an animal by your side who's there and saying like, hey buddy, you're okay, I see you. And a lot of the times when a parent will bring in a child for therapy saying that the child, hey buddy, I'm here, I'm okay.
I love how she's like making eye contact, and like before she like leaned her head on me, like it kind of, I mean, it feels like human connection.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you know, we're like when I held the tarantula, I was like, wait, where's the face, right? Like I was trying to like see it and analyze it. Like here it's almost like she's looking at me, she's with me, she's noticing me. Like it feels like there's nonverbal like communication, but like she's making those gestures that we make to one another on a human basis.
100%. And people who are lacking physical touch, for example, people are in the hospital or in the psych ward, and then they have a dog, it's like a warm hug. And when I was talking about a mother, let's say, bringing her child into therapy, saying that the child needs help, and all of a sudden the therapy dog will run to the child, will run to the mother, and then the mother's petting the dog and just starts to have a reaction or takes a sigh of relief, and she's like, Sophie, how did you know? How did you know I needed this? You read me, you know, I had such a hard day today, you know, and it's like something me as a therapist, I would never pick up on, you know, but the animals, that's what they do. And I think we can read as much research as we want, but when you see it in person, it's such a different experience. And people who are going through depression, you know, of course, with a combination of talk therapy and sometimes medication and animal therapy, when you have all the tools you need to be successful, this is the best ingredients for an amazing, incredible, fulfilling life of balance and joy. And that's what I try to do. This is you know, this is not just a job for me. It's not just a 9 to 5. This is
I can tell. Like this is like your bread and water.
This is my life. This is my passion. This is from day and night. Even before coming here for today's, you know, podcast, I had to make sure all my animals are fed. I had to make sure everybody's taken out, and it's a whole routine. So so with kids who have, let's say, ADHD or anger issues, we definitely talk about emotional regulation and how to be able to help the dog with whenever they're feeling anxious or stressed, or for example, we were doing a school event and there were so many children there, such loud noises, and I was going to bring my horse in, and all of a sudden I noticed my horse just like stopped in her tracks. And I use that as a tool to be able to talk about with kids, like how to stay grounded, because that makes the horse nervous. And I said, okay, everybody take a deep breath. And everyone took a deep breath. And it was such an interesting to see. And then the horse was able to walk into the auditorium. Look,
she's hugging you here.
She's like a mush, you know? So the horse was able to stay grounded. And then eventually come on stage, and it was such an amazing conversation to have with the kids and let them know, guys, did you see what the horse just did? She got nervous because there was so much noise. But you know what? We all helped her through it. We said, it's okay, Joy. We took a deep breath. We created a safe environment. And that's something that helped her be able to come on stage. And now she's going to be able to start the program with all of you. And this is how I kind of talk about real life challenges with the animals, bringing the animals in.
It's almost like it's like co-regulation of what the horse needs, you then need.
100%,
let's say, you know, Sophie, like her feelings, I can take that in and match her, and she can match me. And that's almost like what we're doing in relationships constantly. So we're picking up on the mirroring, and we mirror it back for them. So
for talking about mirroring, you know, that's exactly what animals do. Whenever we walked in, if you notice, now she's super calm. But when we walked in, everybody was like, oh, hi, welcome, right? And so like the energy level was higher and she was more excited. And now we're just having a conversation, so she's able to stay grounded. And this is how animals, even in the wild, this is how animals communicate with one another. You know, that's why they say, you know, with dogs, there's something called like a pack leader. And if somebody is too anxious or not behaving properly, the alpha dog will kind of check that dog and say like, hey, get back in line. Like, we don't behave like this. We don't act like this. So if animals can do that, we as humans for sure should be able to do that too.
We can learn so much from them. And I can see how beneficial it is to just sit in a session with all the different types of animals, depending on what you
For
need.
sure. Especially, you mentioned something about ADHD.
Yes, ADHD.
So when working with people, and I'll talk about anxiety and ADHD, sometimes when somebody's dealing with ADHD, it may be too much to have the animal there with them at the same time. So we'll say, hey, let's do the exercise, the therapeutic exercise, whether it's cognitive behavioral therapy or, just different tools to be able to help them. Say, let's finish this up, and then we'll have some time to spend with the animals. So that's their motivation to get through with the actual therapy session. And then the animal acts as a reward. For somebody who's dealing with anxiety, will actually have the animal with them on their lap. But with that said, also, sometimes people with ADHD, they need to have something in their hands. They need to like fidget with something. So that's why we actually have the newest addition to the team. Good point. I'm going to bring it out to you. Our little girl right over here, her name is Tweety. She's just a little baby, and she's a hand-fed parakeet. Come here, buddy.
Wow.
There we go. Just like this.
She's small.
Yeah, she's very, very small, right? She's tiny. But also, I have this in session with my clients to let them know that they can hold something while we talk. And I always ask them, I say, is the animal a distraction for you, or is this helping you? And they usually say, no, the animal is helping. And also for kids, to have a 45-minute heavy therapy session, it could be a bit much.
Yeah.
But if you tell them, hey, but we have an animal here, automatically it just becomes so much easier.
It's more exciting.
Yeah,
also.
it's much more exciting. And
it's
100% here. You want to try, and you let me know actually how come you feel while she's going to be in your hand.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, so with her, I think I'm...
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Wow.
Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, that's it. Hang on.
Do I hold her by her?
Yeah, here, ready? There we go. So she's just a baby. So everything we're doing right now with her, and this is something I tell to my clients. Here you go, just like this.
Just have to hold her down.
Yeah, just like, no, you're good, you're safe, yeah. So I actually tell my clients to say, that she's just a baby, and that they're helping me they're part of the training process. So they feel so empowered knowing that they're part of nurturing her and actually helping her and training her, because with animals, a lot of the training is desensitizing them and socializing them. So all of this, she's just a baby. She's just a couple of weeks old.
Wow.
This is helping her know that humans are safe and they won't hurt her. So we have something for everybody.
I feel her breathing.
Yeah, exactly. So if you start to take a deep breath and breathe slow, she's going to eventually start to breathe slow. She's going to notice that you're not a threat and that she's safe in your hand. There you go.
She's trying to bite me.
So if you want, it was too fast of a motion. So you want to just like slowly bring your hand there. And when your hand is there, don't try to push your hand away. So by hers, that's animals relate to the world with their mouth. Like, for example, birds, whenever they want to jump on a tree branch, they have to first put their beak to make sure it's safe. Or, for example, dogs, just like babies, when babies crawl, they put everything in their mouth. Same thing with the animals. But whenever you kind of just leave your hand there, she can't really hurt you. She won't peck you. And this is when I work with clients, I say, kind of trust yourself. Just keeping your hand there. Yeah. So when you go in, you want to go slowly, take a deep breath. Just like, how are you feeling right now?
Wow. I really like it. Well, first of all, she's beautiful. I love the green highlighter color.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just fascinating to see how there's life in like movement
in your hand.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
It's almost like I can feel like your energy. It's just like calm and relaxed. Yeah. And that's it. And as you take a deep breath, she's eventually going to stay calm in your hand. And, this is an excellent visual aid and also tactile aid to be able to talk about the things that are below the surface, things that are very hard for children to talk about.
Right.
And of course, including the family and the parents, just to make sure everybody's on the same page and helping the person with all their needs to make sure their needs are met. And surprisingly, even patients in the hospital, this means so much to them. People who are isolated and alone and sad and depressed and anxious. Having something like this, even for one day, you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, even for one day. So when you go in, you want to go in very
Slower.
slowly.
I'm too rough for
and
her.
Gentle. You're okay, but it's also a learning exercise, right? Just to kind of have her in your hand, and then just remember we talk about boundaries. This is what I was talking about.
So I'm not keeping to her boundary.
Right. So she's letting you know she wasn't biting because she's aggressive. She's letting you know, like, hey, this is my boundary. This is my space.
Don't come too close.
I'm on your hand. We haven't built that bond yet. We need to
Ah.
build a bond first. I have to know that I trust you first. And if I trust you, only then you can, pet me and I won't do anything. There you go. Slowly, slowly, very slow, step at a time. And this is how you build a bond. Animals are incredible creatures. So let me give you an example of what just happened. You put your hand in and you said, oh, she bit me. In your mind, you right away registered it as, oh, not saying
but like she's aggressive.
She's aggressive and she will hurt me, right?
Yeah.
But actually, if we flip it and say like, wow, no, she let me know that was too much for her. So you're just like,
and maybe that I was intrusive.
Oh, so look at that, right? So when looking at personal space, right, it's almost like sometimes we don't even realize. Like, I was working with a child and they were so upset that their parent just walks inside their room without knocking. And sometimes parents feel like, oh, but I'm paying for the rent. It's my home. You're living in my home. Why do I have to knock on the door? It's like, wait, 1 second. Let's talk about personal space. They're also a human being. Yeah, just because they're younger and just because they're your child and yeah, you're paying for the rent doesn't give you a right to just open the door and not, giving them any type of respect. And this is an excellent conversation piece like I would have with parents also, is like, trying to really nurture and be there for your child and really listen and validate. Yes. A lot of the times parents feel like, oh, I'm the parent and you need to listen to me. I get it. You're coming from a place of love, but children don't feel that love.
Yeah. You're like teaching how to have a relationship. It's not like, this authority figure who's just controlling 100%. Your life. Like it's a back and forth. Like, she has a say in things and she likes to be taught. Like she likes teaching people what she likes and what she doesn't. What it is that she's going to put up with from me. And
so you see, like we're having a regular conversation right now, but do you see how even a bird being in your hand, we just talked about something that's so powerful and so incredible, is that you naturally want to go in and want to go and pet because she's so cute.
Right.
But she's saying like, you know what? Maybe I'm not ready yet. Right. Maybe we haven't built that bond yet. Right. And that's exactly where we learn, like also like whether it's self-control, whether it's like respecting personal space. And these are such important tools that we can also translate in our daily life.
I feel like it just like speeds up the therapeutic trust and like the therapeutic alliance 100%. Of like right away within a second, like I'm comfortable. Like, whereas like it might take like 6 or 7 sessions like to break that awkwardness. Like I kind of feel like it matches it right away.
Yeah. And this is why we have, so many different animals, because everybody connects with a different animal. Somebody loves the cat, someone loves the bird, someone loves the horse and the dogs. And this is why for this specific animal, we got it because we wanted it for the little kids, like 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and they love her.
But they don't like come and squeeze her.
No, you'll be surprised. They're actually so gentle. And also it's my responsibility as the handler to make sure that all my animals are very well taken care of. And I always give them, a heads up, like, hey, she's just a baby and I need your help in letting her feel safe. So I give them that, the background or the history of the animal. So this way in their mind, they're like, oh yeah, I want to help him. I want to be part of that, training process. So it's a magical experience.
Yeah. Usually when clients are coming to you, how many sessions and how long is the session? Like, is this like a one-time intervention or is it like over a series of time?
Very good question. It really depends on what they're looking for. So I have clients who call me and say, look, my kids are, they had a tough day. They just want to spend some time with animals. Can we do that? And I'll say, sure. And there's no real structure or direction towards it. They come in, they hang out with the animals and, that's what it is. And then for the bulk of my clients, it's with a proper treatment plan, whether it's anxiety, OCD, PTSD, stress, depression, school-related issues, relationships. It depends. I would say usually the bulk of the first sessions are about 8 to 10 sessions. That's really when you get a good feel of therapy, when you build a bond with a therapist, with the animals. And again, even if we don't do all the animals in the session, sometimes we'll just do, whether it's talk therapy, CBT, different things like that, or EMDR. Being able to help the clients where they need to be, usually 8 to 10 sessions is a good starting point. From there, we'll do another evaluation and see like, okay, these are all the goals you came in for. Have you met them? If yes, great. The goal is never to keep anyone in session longer than they need to be there. And then once they're done, we get them on their way. But if they feel like, what, I accomplished all of this, but I feel like I still have, these few things that I need to work on, so we keep them a little bit longer.
Right.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the client and what they're looking for. But it is something that can be done on a longer term basis. It's not just a one-time intervention.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It depends on, like what the goal is. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, this has been fabulous. I mean, I don't want to let her go. I want to like just hold her the whole day, like to sit here. But I can really see how this is so therapeutic and so beneficial for clients either coming in with phobias or anxiety or depression or ADHD. Really like mental health across the spectrum and relationship building as well, because there's just so much to learn from it.
100%.
Not just for children, for adults also. And I'm really happy that we were able to bring this on today.
You see, so what she did right there, she's just letting me know, like, she's like picking, and she's letting me know, like, hey, what's going on over here? And I'm letting her know, like, hey, you're safe, you're okay, you're not in danger. Now, if I would pull away my hand, then it's letting her know that, oh, she has the power to dominate me, so I'm going to do that, right? But when I keep my hand there, I'm letting her know, like, hey, trust me. I'm your handler. I'm going to make sure you're safe. So all my animals, actually, they know that if they're feeling panicky or it's too much for them, they know to locate me. They look at me and they come right back to me, whether it's the birds, the horse, the dogs. The reptiles is a little bit different. I mean, they know me, but it's not as a bond as I would have with the other animals.
It was so nice meeting you, and this was so fascinating,
Cool.
Interesting. I love it. Like I can see how like amazing it could be, even just for myself. Like right now, like I can imagine like how far I could go and just like releasing different thoughts and barriers, and like how it's just like such a microcosm to like your whole life. So it was so nice meeting you. I'm so excited. We have to like do something else in the future again, because like we need a part 2.
I'm already booking a session after this.
We'll come to 5 Downs out session in the center. We should. I feel like this was so powerful, and I could imagine how much more powerful it could be for like myself and for other people. I feel like it's a microcosm to life.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It was an incredible experience to be able to share this with you and actually see it live on camera. Both of you overcoming
putting
your
the
fear.
Therapist in the hot spot.
I love it.
Not scripted reaction.
We should title it "Putting the Therapist in the Hot Spot."
Totally.
Yeah.